26 years earlier, I was unfaithful to my expecting spouse, which led to our separation, and she vowed that I would never encounter my girl. The events that unfolded when my girl located me are going to astonish you. Greetings from Reddit I+ here. My name is Leo, and I am 54 years old and throughout the majority of my grown-up years. There has existed a sealed chamber within my recollections that I avoided entering except during sleepless nights. At the age of 27, I was unfaithful to my expecting spouse, whose name was Nia. We had been a pair since the age of 20. We represented the kind of duo that everybody assumed would endure permanently. We occupied a residence we could hardly manage financially, with uncoordinated furnishings, damaged window coverings that shook noisily in the breeze during nighttime. And we would drift off to sleep chuckling over foolish matters, such as naming our upcoming offspring after some atmospheric phenomenon or another absurd idea. Then I committed a grave error. Without justifications, without any tale involving drinking, without a sorrowful history, merely foolishness and self-centeredness. I was unfaithful with a colleague from work, and I considered it merely an error that I could conceal and bear like a concealed burden. I managed for 14 days until the remorse created voids inside my chest, and I admitted everything. Nia did not raise her voice initially. She positioned herself at our dining table with her palms clasped together, resembling attendance at a religious service, and paid attention. Her gaze remained fixed without any fluttering. After I concluded, she rose, proceeded to the sleeping quarters, and shut the entrance. I detected the clicking sound of the latch. I rested upon the couch during that evening. By morning, she had departed. In a matter of days, separation documents surfaced. She was in her 8th month of carrying a child and refused my presence close to the birthing area. She rejected my closeness in any capacity. Her relatives excluded me entirely as though I had no prior existence. During the legal proceedings, I endorsed whatever instructions were provided to me. I forfeited the living space. I forfeited my vehicle. The singular aspect I retained was the constant recollection that this situation stemmed completely from my own actions. The legal authority offered minimal commentary. Nia avoided directing her gaze toward me even once. Several weeks afterward, my girl entered the world. I remained absent from that occasion. No invitation was extended to me. I received communication via my legal representative, along with one brief written note from Nia consisting of 2 statements. Healthy infant. Refrain from reaching out to me. I attempted telephone calls. I pleaded earnestly. I traveled to her residence on one occasion, and she cracked the entrance barely sufficiently for me to observe a single brown iris. She declared that should I return ever again, she would pursue a protective directive. My surroundings seemed to shut down. My bravery deserted me. Remorse handled the remaining aspects. I offered no resistance. I convinced myself that I wished to avoid distressing my offspring through legal disputes and resentment. The reality proves more straightforward, yet more unpleasant. I lacked the ability to confront the actions I had performed. Consequently, I dispatched financial support on a monthly basis. Across 18 years, existence proceeded in its typical manner. It advances onward regardless of your stagnation. I returned to reside with my parents for 12 months. My father uttered precisely 8 terms directed at me throughout that period. "You destroyed this. Now endure the outcome." He expressed that statement one time and afterward remained silent on the subject. My mother provided meals without speaking and embraced me whenever I wept as though I had reverted to 15 rather than 28. In time, I reconstructed my path. I resumed work within building oversight, labored excessively long shifts, and acquired the ability to sense normalcy once more. Upon reaching 35, I encountered an individual named Talia. She possessed complete awareness regarding my history since I disclosed it promptly. She uttered words that rescued me. She stated that one need not endure endless penalty, however one must conduct life with integrity daily to compensate for the damage inflicted. We entered matrimony. We welcomed 2 boys. Our residence overflows with joy, commotion, disputes over assignments, soccer matches broadcasted, scorched breakfast items, and those peculiar silent intervals when all are resting, and the dwelling seems to inhale like a vibrant entity. Nevertheless, an outline lingered in the background. A girl who was present yet absent. An existence in which I participated partially and was excluded partially. Occasionally, once or twice, annually, during periods when all slept, I would examine social media platforms. This demanded considerable work because Naya altered her surname following her subsequent marriage. Ultimately, I discovered an account depicting a grinning youngster, followed by an adolescent, then a youthful adult who resembled me strikingly, especially concerning the gaze, dense locks, solemn expression during focus, sporty build. Subsequently scholarly, afterward assured. I would gaze intently at those images and experience emotions akin to sorrow, satisfaction, and self-reproach simultaneously. Time advanced. Subsequently, during one evening, as my elder boy reached 14 and the younger 12, I received an invitation for contact from an unexpected source. It did not originate from Naya. It came from my girl. Her designation is Amira. The communication stated, "I have possessed knowledge concerning you throughout my whole existence." That differs from the information provided to me during childhood. However, I have been aware since age 10. I believe the moment has arrived for us to converse. I seek neither funds nor regrets conveyed digitally. I desire to observe you directly. I gazed at that display for approximately 60 minutes. My palms trembled. Talia entered the space and I informed her, and she grasped my palm firmly while stating, irrespective of the outcome, confront it directly. We settled upon encountering each other at a cafe located in a serene section of the community. I arrived ahead of schedule and positioned myself adjacent to the glass panel. My torso sensed emptiness. Each error from my history seemed positioned beside me in essence. Subsequently, she entered, stature elevated, self-assured, identical gaze. She took her seat. Initially, she offered no grin. She examined my features as though aligning actuality against an image. Thereafter, she inclined her head gradually. "You resemble me," she remarked. We conversed. With caution initially, topics including climate education her objectives. She had recently completed university studies and was progressing towards schooling in medicine. Intelligent, motivated. Somewhat ironic, I appreciated her company. That caused greater discomfort than all else. Afterward, she inhaled deeply and declared, "I wish to discuss the reality, everything involved." She shared with me her interpretation of events. More accurately, the interpretation provided to her. She matured under the impression that I had deserted her utterly. Absence of communications. Absence of financial aid. Absence of efforts. She had been informed that I departed from her carrying mother without ever glancing backward. She had been informed that I posed a threat, focused solely on myself, undependable. She had been informed a narrative in which I represented a vacant void. Then an occurrence took place at age 10. She listened in on her mother and step-parent disputing. She caught terms including financial maintenance for offspring, judicial proceedings, written correspondences. During that evening, once everybody rested, she examined the residence and within the rear section of a corridor storage space, inside a sealed container positioned behind seasonal outerwear. She discovered evidence that I had presence in another manner. Financial records displaying 18 years of contributions originating from me. Duplicates of written messages I composed in the initial several years when I continued attempting to dispatch celebratory notes for birth dates, expressions of sorrow, clarifications. Messages that Nia withheld from her. Amira refrained from challenging her mother at age 10. She preserved the container. She examined the messages annually during her birth date celebrations. She observed me from afar via online platforms. She discovered my development and manner of living. And she constructed an image of an imperfect individual who erred severely, yet refrained from deserting her. Then she released the initial revelation, Leo, she stated. I completed a genetic examination 2 years prior, partly out of interest, partly for health background. I corresponded with family members previously unknown to me. Upon inquiring with my mother regarding the reason, she revealed information I suspect remains unknown to you. I ceased breathing. She stated in a subdued tone, "It is possible you are not my genetic parent." My surroundings shifted. I declare the atmosphere vanished. Nia apparently maintained a brief connection with another individual during that period as well, an aspect entirely unknown to me. She discovered following the separation that uncertainty existed. She withheld this from me. Rather, she retained the funds, maintained the ethical superiority, sustained the account portraying me as the antagonist. Amira positioned an item upon the surface, a document printed out. Not solely her genetic analysis, but mine as well. Since she had acquired it and dispatched it toward my residence utilizing a method permitting unidentified correspondence. Several months beforehand, unnoticed by me. Talia had unsealed it, assuming promotional correspondence, and placed it aside. Amira had foreseen this. Therefore, she presented a duplicate. We reviewed the document collectively. Likelihood of genetic fatherhood, 0%. Should a juncture arise within existence when fury, sorrow, consolation, disloyalty, remorse, and ridiculousness gather circularly observing one another, that represented such an instant. I had devoted 18 years assuming myself a fearful individual who remained distant. I had inflicted penalty upon myself. I had persuaded myself that I merited each measure of suffering. And indeed, I merited substantial portions for the infidelity, certainly. However, not regarding all subsequent developments. I provided support. I remained absent. I forfeited an entire lifespan. Regarding an offspring lacking biological connection to me, Amira observed my expression and inclined her head. I understand, she remarked gently. The impact affected me similarly. Then she uttered the phrase that shattered me. Although you lack biological father status, you nonetheless represented the sole individual who appeared in the manner accessible to you. You contributed financially. You made initial efforts. You held significance, regardless of the distance. The individual whom my mother wedded, the one who nurtured me, qualifies as a decent person. Yet he experiences anger currently upon discovering the reality. Everything erupted dramatically. Evidently, this reality had exploded within her household several months previously. Her step-parents sensed deception spanning 18 years of falsehoods. Her mother faced compulsion to acknowledge all aspects. The reality lacked cleanliness. It involved disorder. Involved raised voices, weeping, sessions for counseling. And presently, Amira sought encounters with me since she concluded that she merited candor from every participant within her existence. We encountered repeatedly, gradually, with care. Subsequently arrived the direct discussion. Amira desired the trio of us together within one space, myself, herself, and Nia. I evaded that concept for weeks. Remorse proves persistent, yet finally I consented. We gathered inside a serene legal professionals meeting chamber that Amira reserved to maintain impartiality. The instant Nia entered, I reverted immediately to age 27, remorseful, shattered, positioned opposite the individual I damaged most severely. She appeared more mature naturally. Resilient nonetheless, yet weary. Her gaze shifted briefly toward me before diverting. She concentrated upon her girl. Amira directed the dialogue as though prepared beforehand. She presented all details. The concealed container, the contributions, the messages, the genetic analysis, the deceptions. Nia attempted initial responses in broad terms. She mentioned experiencing injury, experiencing fear, desiring safeguarding for her offspring. Then Amira interrupted her and expressed something I shall retain until my final day. You failed to safeguard me. You dominated me. You removed my entitlement to determine my sentiments regarding the individual who assisted my arrival into existence, despite his errors. You utilized your suffering as a weapon. You transformed me into property under your possession instead of an individual entitled to candor. Nia wept, displaying genuine sorrow, genuine remorse. And afterward, the ultimate reality emerged. She acknowledged awareness concerning the genetic uncertainty prior to my endorsement of documents. Prior to any financial contribution from me, prior to excluding me permanently from that existence. She acknowledged retaining it for penalizing me, maintaining dominance, evading embarrassment from disclosing to others her own infidelity. There existed the situation. Two individuals, dual acts of disloyalty, one reality concealed nearly 30 years, an existence reshaped through arrogance and apprehension. Here follows the unusual aspect. I experienced no sense of victory. I felt aged. Then Amira rose, circled the surface, and embraced me for the initial occasion within my lifetime. That marked the reversal. For 18 years, I regarded myself as the deficiency within her narrative, the vacancy, the antagonist. Abruptly, in some manner, I transformed into something different, neither champion nor substitute parent, but an authentic entity. A physical individual who erred initially, endured the cost, and silently honored an obligation never permitted fulfillment. Consequences have emerged, judicial discussions regarding offspring maintenance, unpleasant, intricate, draining. Possibly I shall never recover those funds. I lack certainty whether I desire recovery. It symbolizes periods of personal penalty, indeed, yet also periods of duty, though misdirected. Nia and I shall never share friendship, yet we conversed with sincerity for the initial time in our existences. She offered regret, absent justifications, merely weeping and truthfulness. I offered regret once more, since my infidelity ignited the spark initiating all subsequent events. My boys possess awareness presently. Talia has remained steadfast beside me, resembling the ultimate stabilizer within my existence, and Amira continues presence. We encounter one another each month, occasionally sharing beverages, occasionally meals alongside my household. My boys appreciate her. She addresses me as Leo, never father. I apply no pressure for additional. I feel merely thankful for the opportunity to participate within her existence as an actual person rather than a spectral figure. Here follows the insight should one prove necessary. Deceptions develop deep foundations. Concealments fail to remain hidden. Suffering transferred onward transforms into suffering residing within offspring. Arrogance destroys eras. Yet candor, despite tardiness, possesses capacity to cleanse an injury festering across years. I was unfaithful. I acquired outcomes. I forfeited elements irrecoverable. I shall perpetually feel embarrassment regarding that earlier self. Yet ultimately, the greatest astonishment involved discovering that, while assuming sole monstrous presence within the narrative, additional obscure elements inhabited the space beyond my awareness. And occasionally fairness fails to manifest as a judicial instance or spectacular success. Occasionally fairness consists of positioning opposite a mature offspring never raised by you, listening to her declare, "You remained absent, yet you demonstrated concern." That holds importance for me. That represents the reward. Absent funds, absent retribution, an additional opportunity for sincerity. And for an individual resembling myself, that encompasses everything.